Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm back with a weird one. This is the Aironox, which can supposedly dry and iron your clothes. Is this the future of ironing, or is it just a gimmick? Let's find out in today's video, starting with the unboxing. Let's take a look at the Aironox. I paid $159.99 direct from the official website. We have instructions, always good. Lots of packaging. Not sure what that is. Not sure what that is either. Definitely not sure what that is. There's all kinds of stuff in here. Look at all this. It just keeps coming out. Wow. There's a lot of stuff in here. This is the entire thing. That also includes a pants attachment, shoe attachment, and a lifetime warranty. But they describe this as an automatic ironing machine with results as little as a few minutes. Can be used with most clothes, but not delicate fabrics or wool. They say there's no setup, no hassle, no more ironing boards. Just hang your clothes, press start, and get on with your day. I didn't really see that many reviews outside of the website, so I'm gonna have to read these over and then get started. All right, I've read over these instructions, which are not very good, by the way. I kind of went through and just figured out how to assemble it beforehand because the assembly was kind of confusing in these instructions, but I figured it out. First up, we got these two rods we have to connect together and place in the unit itself. Check. By the way, the reason I'm filming this in here is because I need a lot of room. You'll see in a minute why. This hanger goes on top here. And now we have the shirt balloon that goes over this. And there is an elastic bottom to it, so it's very stretchy. And it's a little bit awkward to get over that hanger. And then it slips over this lip on the bottom here. They refer to it as a mounting flange. Now we're getting somewhere. Now the instructions say it can work with a damp or dry shirt, so basically it can dry and iron it at the same time. I have a slightly damp shirt here, which is fresh out of the wash. Now we're supposed to place it over the shirt balloon and clip it into place. Now the instructions don't tell you this, but you have to pull the arms through each one of these. Instructions aren't very clear sometimes. These clips are supposed to hold it in place in the bottom. There really isn't a place to clip it, you just kind of pinch it and clip. They also say to pull it tight, which I'm doing. 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Now we turn it on and see what happens. This is as far as I've gotten so far, so let's try it out. Pretty basic controls here. We have temperature setting, time minus, time plus, and on off. I'm just gonna leave everything default and see what happens. And here we go. Well, it's blowing up like a balloon. Look at this. Pull the head out of there. Whoa, look at that. Maybe I should adjust it so this wrinkle doesn't show up there. Now that is pretty wild. Now taking a look at the thermal image, it looks like there's a big warm patch right in the center with some kind of spots. That's very interesting. Look at the pattern there. Very strange. That's like a hot head and some like spots throughout, a line right in the center. I should also point out there's some, you can see those spots. You can see the spots appearing. Very interesting. Now there are some zippers on here which aren't really explained. I wasn't sure if I'm supposed to use those zippers or what, but we're just gonna leave it as is right now and see what happens. Right now it's kind of an interesting pattern, but maybe that doesn't really matter in the long run. So I'll come back in about 10 minutes or 9 minutes now and see how it looks. I just beeped 3 times. That must have been our warning beeps. And there it goes. Well, I mean, it does feel dry, so that's good. Actually, a little bit damp over here. I mean, this really wasn't wrinkly to begin with, but it was kind of damp. It does feel kind of dry. There are some damp spots. I will say there's no wrinkles though. There's a little tiny bit of dampness, like on the shoulders. Interesting, the shoulder areas seem to get more damp than anything else. And there are little holes in here where I can see that's where those spots were showing up on my shirt. So on a first test, not too bad, but we got a long way to go. Let's try something else a little bit more challenging now. Let's keep going, shall we? Now I've got a button-up shirt here that probably needs to be ironed a little bit. This one is not damp, so this is gonna be a little bit different test. Taking a closer look at it, you can see it's not terribly wrinkled, but you could run an iron over that to make it look a little better. This is what we got as the before image. It's not terrible, but it certainly isn't perfect either. So let's fire this thing up and see what we got. I'm gonna go up on the temperature. You can go 50, 60, or 70 C. I went to 60 this time. 10 minutes also. And we're off. We'll check back in 10 minutes and see how it looks. Let's take a look. All right, taking a closer look, I would say it's not perfect, but it is certainly better. I wouldn't say it looks like it just came off an ironing board. I mean, there's still some areas there. It seemed like it kind of missed this underside of the arm there, which maybe isn't a big deal, but it's better. It is better. You know, I'm kind of a little bit on the fence. Is a non 100% improvement good enough? Maybe. Maybe not for that price though. I would say an improvement nonetheless. I just pulled a bunch of damp shirts out of the dryer. Rather than bore you with all this, I'm gonna go through a bunch of these and then show you the results at the end. So let's fast forward to the end results of the shirts and see what happened. So after the shirts, I had a few observations. First up, the instructions are not very good. Some things just really weren't explained at all, like the clips. They show the clips being used in their videos. They mention them in the instructions, but there's no optimal way of using them. I found myself fiddling with them the whole time. Sometimes I felt like they were making the wrinkles worse. A little guidance would have been good. There's 3 heat settings. There's really no mention in there what to do with those. The instructions just say, select the temperature setting to the one you require. How do I know what temperature is required? I have no idea what that even means. So anyways, I wanted to move on to some pants and see how that went. So far so good. We have more to try though. It's time for the pants balloon. Yeah! I've got some damp, kind of wrinkly pants right out of the wash. Not soaking wet, but it's damp. Now, are these supposed to be held up by something? The instructions don't say. I'll just start the motor and then pull them up at the end. I don't know about this. Took a bit of effort. It looks ridiculous, but now we're gone. Ooh yeah. Got the 3 warning beeps. Almost done. I think it's best if I take these clips off and just hold the end of the pant legs when it deflates. Taking these clips off. And then it should be able to slide it right off. Slide it right off. I mean, they're not the most wrinkle-free pants I've ever seen, but they are mostly dry. So I don't know, once again, as with everything else, it kind of worked. Not 100%, but it kind of worked. And there is the final product. What do you guys think? It's dry, mostly. Not terribly wrinkled, but not wrinkle-free. So I don't know, semi-success maybe? I don't know. Once again, the terrible instructions don't tell you that you have to extend the rods for pants, which I figured that out. There's also Velcro on the bottom of the pant balloon. They don't say what that's for. They don't say if you're supposed to use clips in the pants, so I did on the top. I don't know if that's right or not, but it seemed to work. There's zippers on all these balloons, and there really isn't clear when you're supposed to use those or not. The last thing I wanted to try is shorts, since I wear so many of those. Of course, they're not covered in the instructions if you can use shorts or not, but I wanted to try it out, and here's what happened. So in the end, I would say the Aironox is not without merit. It does dry and de-wrinkle clothes, although maybe not quite as good as a dryer or an iron. But I can see this as being kind of a slightly lesser alternative to both. If you don't have a dryer or an iron, this could be something to consider. Just be prepared to figure a lot of this out because the instructions aren't very good. I'm not gonna say they're the worst instructions I've ever encountered. They're pretty bad though. If there's a price to bad instructions ratio, this is probably among the worst. I wouldn't say this is really a replacement for a dryer because it only does one thing at a time, but it does dry your garment if it's damp. At 160 bucks, I can't see a lot of people wanting to buy this, although I can see it having a small, loyal fan base. I feel like I could have got better results with better instructions out of the gate, but I did figure it out with trial and error. But that's all I've got. If you've tried something like this, tell me what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.